So we're gonna go down memory lane a little bit here. I'm gonna show you a photo, and some of these photos are old, so they're like screen caps of screen caps. So they might be a little blurry, but as we go up, they'll get a little clearer here. And I want you to just give me the thought that comes to your mind when you see this photo. They're all sort of memorable. People who watch the challenge will definitely recognize these photos. But let's go for number one here.
Ah, she's trying to kill me. She's trying to kill me. That was when Veronica was going across the tight line, and I believe it was oh my goodness. Oh goodness. Jody. Jody was clamped onto her, or Tanya. It was one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drawing a blank right now and trying to undo her pin, like because you had to go across the zip line.
Yep.
And you're trying to fight each other, and you can kick, you can do all that kind of stuff. But she tried to unsnap her safety harness. One of the most classic, and you can hear Mike like, she's trying to kill her. Yeah. I love that. Now that's classic challenge there.
That's classic. Okay, so this is a little bit of a feel good moment here.
That's when Diem, she was diagnosed with cancer before the season. She eventually did pass away due to cancer not long after filming one of the seasons. But that was the first time she felt comfortable enough to take off her cap, her swim cap before a challenge. And CT encouraged her to do that. Heck of a story. What
do you think about that whole thing? Because their relationship wasn't always the rosiest. And on, in these games, they're dialing up their energy, and they're often probably doing things that they would not normally do in real life if they weren't on TV. But they're also, in reality TV, the smart producers are putting things in place so that they do get this expression. But I remember seeing that and going like, wow, CT and DM, that's a special moment. But there was a lot of people like, oh, CT didn't always treat her great. Like, what was your whole take on that situation?
Well, see, at the time, I'm going to be completely honest because I did watch it in the real time. CT was a villain. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you remember, he just came off with a whole fight with Adam. He was a real scumbag, like punched Adam in his face. He, even on his original Real World series in Paris, he was kind of, the bad boy outsider type. Even that season, he was playing different girls. The season before, he said, I'm going to use these girls to my advantage. So you hear all these quotes in his confessionals, and then all of a sudden, remember, Diem was with Derek. That was her original relationship. And then they never even touched on it. That was always strange to me. Derek was there the next season. Diem was there. They never touched on why they weren't together no more. And then CT starting to get with him. So I think that was the underlying reason that they never touched on the show. A lot of people were friends with Derek and didn't like that CT was kind of getting in there and trying to play Diem. And they knew her physical, her health issues. And I can understand from a cast perspective, outside looking in. But I do think over time, the relationship became genuine. At first, it might have been ulterior motives because Diem had a lot of friends on the jury. I mean, if you really think about it, the way that game worked was the females picked to save the guy picked to save the female. So the only way you were going to stay safe is somebody from the opposite sex had to pick you to keep you safe for that particular week. So it behooves CT to find a woman on the up, who would pick him every week to keep him out of the bottom too. So that's why it was looked at strategically back then.
By the way, when Adam was on The Real World, I got a lot of people to believe that he was actually Lionel Richie's son.
Wow. I see it.
Well, because his pops was in the Commodores, right? Adam's pops was in the Commodores. Mm-hmm. So I would just make that joke. He's got to be Lionel Richie's son. Okay, here's another one. Very memorable.
Oh, man. One of the greatest eliminations in challenge history. Now, a little backstory. Johnny Bananas was a nobody. Let's call it what it is. Yep. He was on The Real World, Austin. I mean, not Austin. He was in I think one in Texas, whatever.
I thought it was like Key West or something.
Key West, yeah. Because remember, the Key West crew came in and he got eliminated the first day, his first season. He was nothing. Johnny started winning when the challenge was completely different. And it was a team win. Remember, the first few years of the challenge, you didn't have the individual winners at the end. It was a large number of people would win. Johnny latched on to Kenny. He latched on to Evan, and he started winning. He started pulling all these tricks, trying to make himself a star. He got like the perfect people. He thought he had the perfect game in place. And this one challenge, they brung in some mercenaries. And one of them was CT. CT came in there, and you had to lock up in the back to back, and then fight to hit the opposite end, to take your opponent to the opposite end. Well,
the
CT,
barrel. Yeah, you had to run over the barrel.
CT took this man and walked him like a dog, put him on his back like a baby, and then dropped him into the barrel. One of the greatest scenes of all time. I don't think it can be touched, really. I mean,
no, it's got to be like the best moment in challenge history on any countdown list.
Best elimination, period. Wow, iconic.
So his Key West season of the Real World, there's a woman who's from San Jose, so that's where I grew up. Her name was Janelle. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah. She was on there, wasn't she?
So she was dating. So I played semi-pro baseball for years and years and years, and she was dating one of the players who we played against. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if she'll come out to one of the games. She comes out to one of the games. I made sure to go over and walk over her and tell her, you know, how that I'm a fan and I watched her season and stuff. So attractive, like
beautiful, exotic.
Oh my god,
real, like just, real, yeah.
And like, cause like you see them on TV and you think, wow, you know, they're looking their best. Like that's what you should do when you're on TV. And so she was definitely wanting to look her best, even though it was like 100 degrees outside, and you know she was probably feeling a little bit too made up because it probably wasn't super comfortable. But I swear she was so attractive. So Janelle, big ups to Janelle, big fan. I wonder. I saw something with her recently. It's probably like on Reddit or something. But I kind of always wondered about her because I don't think she did too many challenges, right?
She did one. I believe she did pretty well too, and I was shocked she didn't come back. She was one of those like earlier on ones. It was a team type of deal. Yeah, she did all right.
All right, I got two more for you.
This hurts. This hurts bad.
I don't think we're allowed to show this guy's face, so we only could show his backside.
Yeah, that's a whole story to that as well. So I'm a big Wes fan. Let's put it out there now. Wes is my guy. If anybody from the challenge ever wanted to go into pro wrestling and to be the greatest heel in the history of wrestling, it would be Wes. But anyway,
the other thing about Wes is I think he could actually do a lot of these other reality series type of games, like these strategy games. If people didn't know him as Wes, I feel like he could do really well in Big Brother.
He would win that. Yeah. Well, Wes and Kenny had a feud. It started over Wes's ex-girlfriend Johanna started messing with Kenny on a season where Wes wasn't there, so they had a rivalry. So eventually they come together as rivals. I think 2, might have been rivals 1. So they were teamed up. Can't stand each other. The whole season, Wes is doing way better than Kenny in the challenges, carrying them. I mean, Kenny's just losing his mojo. It became a storyline like Kenny has lost his mojo. Well, Wesley was just clowning them the whole time, but they make it all the way to the finals together. And of all things, all season, Wes has been carrying them, and then that picture tells it just what happened. Wes' body gave out on him. He was crying.
Oh, the screaming. I can still hear that screaming in my head.
And Kenny had to try to carry him to the end. Bad look for Wes. Bad look, but it was hilarious though. That was peak challenge for me.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, he will talk about that moment a lot, like when he's trying to mentor these youngsters, these rookies going into the final. He'll say, look, you want to be ready for this final, because if you are not ready, they will put you failing and make it a big story, and then social media is coming after you. And I'm assuming that's the one that he references when he's talking about that.
Definitely. And it's happened to just about everybody. CT had his moment. Bananas had it. I mean, everyone has gone through that. You know what I mean? Like, if you do enough of these challenges, you're going to fail. But one, like the Johnny Bananas and CT moment, and that moment right there, you can always replay them, and people like
All right, last one. Very infamous moment here. Because of this moment, I don't think one of these people has ever been back on this show.
The anniversary was this past week. The anniversary of this moment where these two were rivals. Okay, season prior, Sarah was teamed up with Jordan, and these two made it all the way to the final. Sarah and Jordan had an opportunity to either save Johnny and Nani or send them into elimination. Sarah made the call, sent Johnny into elimination. He gets beat. Johnny takes it personal, like he hasn't done that to a million people before. Anyway, they come back. The next rivals, they're teammates now. Sarah and Johnny. They make it all the way to the end. And TJ tells him, because Johnny got there first, he has a decision to make. He can either split the money with Sarah, 50-50, or take all the money. And Johnny said, I'm going to take the money and run.
He had the built-in excuse from the previous season, too. But, yeah.
They had mended fences, though. Sarah thought it was good. They cried together. They hugged. They probably be good friends again. And Johnny was just waiting in the grass.
I was always thinking, like, okay, that was just for TV. MTV's pinching Sarah some off in the side. No, that did not happen.
She has never been back.
She ended up with nothing. That's a very memorable. Ashley did it as well.
Yes.
So it's happened a couple times. I don't that whole thing where the partner has to choose where the other partner gets, like, I feel uncomfortable in those moments. Like, you can just feel like, oh no, like that's what makes these these guys are so smart when they put these shows together.
And I think that's what the players are feeling. Like, they don't feel like it was dirty. I mean, yeah, the players going to do what they're going to do, but it's the producers. You set this up to even be an option. It makes me feel like I worked all this time. I got all the way to the end, and then you pull a move like that. If you know going in that the person has an option to do that, you're going to move a little different. But to just spring it on it, make them feel like, oh no, you didn't have this idea. You came up with the idea now because it's convenient, and now you're gonna make it like this was a story all along. That's what I've heard. Some of the conspiracies that Sarah had, that they never announced this to the challenges. They figured they love Johnny, and they was going to do this for like TV moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It worked, but it's bad, man. Sarah was like a real big part of the challenge up until that point, and she never been back.